Welcome to POSTCAST as the Utah Jazz blow out the Indiana Pacers tonight by the final score of 139-119. The game was tied at 54, and then the Utah Jazz went on a 17-0 run and never relented. A lot of guys stood out. We'll be talking about it tonight and how the Jazz showed they are the more sustainable of the upstart teams. It's all coming up on tonight's edition of POSTCAST. David Locke along with Ron Boone, and let's go back to it. It's tied at 54. The Jazz had a really, really good first quarter. The Pacers had worked their way back. Pacers were 30th in the NBA in first quarters. They're third in the league in second quarters. It kind of felt like this was a normal game. And then all of a sudden the Jazz went on a 19-0 or 17-0 run. What do you see?
Well, I just saw them starting to make some shots, David, running, getting ahead of the defense and coming up with some transition points here. They were struggling as far as transition points, but they were all in the first quarter. But they were getting the secondary break type points early in the ball game. So the transition points I thought was starting to come alive. Not necessarily transition points, but early offensive points, which means you're pushing the ball up the floor and you're automatically getting into something.
Ron, we're 26 games in the season. Like you are now kind of who you are.
Right.
This Jazz team is the fourth best offensive team in the NBA. I got to be honest, we've talked about this a few times before. There's nothing more stunning to me than this team being the fourth-ranked offense in the NBA. I did not see that without Donovan Mitchell, without Rudy Gobert, even with Lauri Markkanen, who's just a vastly different player than we thought he was going to be. But I just didn't see it. And what's interesting to me a little bit is in the early part of the season, they did it because they just grabbed so many offensive rebounds. And so my feeling at that time was like, yeah, that's not particularly sustainable. Like, you can't be grabbing 14 and 16 offensive rebounds a game. Teams can take that away. Now they're not. Now they're grabbing like 6, 7, 8 offensive rebounds, and they're still the fourth best offensive team. And tonight they were just they just executed literally the Indiana Pacers at points in this game. How are they doing this offensively?
Well, Will has said that the execution of this offense collectively is going to have to carry this basketball team and continue to make this a very good team because of the spreading the floor and the offense works because of that. I mean, moving the basketball, breaking the defense down, and the looks that they get, they play free. And I think that's probably the confidence level from these guys, knowing that, whatever some of the things they're doing out there on the floor, they're not afraid of making mistakes, and the coach is going to pull them out and chew them out, that type of thing. But they really just play that way and get off to a good start. I think the way the Jazz start off in that first quarter, it seemed like in every ball game, the movement and the types of shots that they're getting and the energy level is something that hopefully continues to carry over into the second, third, and fourth quarter and not take that dive there in that second quarter.
Jazz then did not let up. They led by double digits for maybe the entire second half. I kind of at one point used a hot run line that they yo-yoed, and what I meant by that when I said they yo-yoed was they literally just kind of let the lead go, and then they pulled it back, and then they let it go, and they pulled it back. They were in complete control the entire night, which is interesting in the sense, Ron, that these were two teams who are both the upstarts. They are Indiana's fourth in the East. They're the surprise team of the East. We're the surprise team of the West. If you had to choose tonight, it looked like one of these two is far more sustainable than the other.
Yeah, one of these teams, and particularly the Jazz, is so far ahead, I think, of the Pacers. And I say that because of the consistency in their play. Even though you can look at that lineup and that unit that the Pacers have, they have some athletes over there, guys that can, they can play a couple of different ways, but the Jazz have a system that complements the players that they have, and boy, do they use it very well. I mean, the guys, it's just again, I'm repeating what I hear from a lot of coaches and commentators, radio announcers, TV announcers, those type of things, how fun the Jazz are to watch. So I'm falling into that as well.
One note on the Pacers that's interesting tonight. Tyrese Haliburton, who does have a groin issue, we didn't know if he's going to play, goes 5 of 16. He's now he came in the last 5 games shooting 38% from the field and 29% from 3. This is now a 6-game stretch for him where he is shooting really, really poorly, and you wonder whether Haliburton's wearing out a little bit. And because he was not impactful tonight. The Jazz had a really good game plan. And that leads to the other thing. all my notes up there are offense related, and it did feel very offensive tonight when you score 139 points. But it is relevant that through 3 quarters, the Jazz had held the Pacers to below a point of possession defensively, which is what our old standard was when we had Rudy. This was the best defensive game of the year by the Jazz by a long shot.
It took them out of everything that they were trying to do. And I would, like you, was looking for something different or spectacular out of Halliburton after everything we've heard and the way he's been playing. What was that, 40 assists and no turnovers and, that type of thing. And I think a lot of what he was trying to do tonight, didn't work because of the way the Jazz were able to defend him. He was on the floor 30 minutes. Only took 16 shots, but I think more importantly, only 4 assists in that game.
Yeah, he only had 1 for a long, long time. He came in averaging 13 over the last 5, 11.
Leads the league, I think.
On the season, yeah. And he passes. This is a team that has the most passes, and Halliburton's led the most passes to 3-point shooters. So interesting to see the Jazz just completely take them out of what they're doing. It's probably some of the defensive stars are probably as important as the offensive stars on a massive offensive night of 139 points. Walker Kessler is going to get a lot of accolades tonight. His numbers are big, and he was good. 20 points tonight, 11 rebounds. Maybe most noticeably is that he checked in, and I think about the 5-6 minute mark of the fourth quarter and played for about 13, 14 straight minutes.
Yeah, he got season high minutes tonight. And I look for his minutes to continue to increase to the point where he's getting 16, 17, 18 minutes of ball game consistently, especially if he's staying on the floor and not making a lot of mistakes. That rotation with that front line with Markkanen, Olenek, and Kessler is really starting to click and make some things happen.
All right. A lot of conversation about how we do without Mike Conley. Really interesting move by Will Hardy. Last game, Nickeil Alexander-Walker plays. Talen Horton-Tucker doesn't play. Tonight, Talen Horton-Tucker plays. I actually thought it was really good. Didn't have nearly the turnover problems he had before. His plus-minus was fabulous tonight, or he was at least pretty good. But he was plus 26. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker doesn't play. How is Will Hardy making these choices? I got no idea.
At first, when I was looking, I said maybe it's the lineup, and maybe it's the guys that he's going to be playing against or something like that. And this is, I don't know, maybe it's his way of making sure that the guys have enough confidence, and he's trying to determine which one of those guys he wants to keep in the rotation for a certain amount of time. I mean, I don't know what it could be, but Tucker came in, entirely different players. I think his first 2 possessions was assist for a 3-point shot or something like that before he even scored a point. So if he plays that way and plays pretty much under control, I think those minutes will go to him.
2 lobs to Walker Kessler as well in the ballgame. Let's not just get mundanely bored with 24 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a plus 19 in 33 minutes by Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of his shots tonight. I mean, a 3 from the corner on a quick release at 7 feet and a step back jab step 3 from the top. And then a left-handed layup, which is not his natural hand in traffic. I mean, he is making plays on a nightly basis that are just wow.
Totally awesome. Don't forget the fast break that he led on an occasion that led to a bucket there for the Jazz, making the right play, making the right decision anyway, passing the basketball. And that was it just shows that his versatility, his skill level, just like the fact that the way he gets the Jazz off to a good start in that first quarter. 12 points the other night, and then again 12 points again tonight in that first quarter. I think he had 12 in the first quarter, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And it just gets himself going early, gets the team going early, and they usually outscore their opponents in that first quarter.
Jazz led by 11 after the first. They'd only allowed the Pacers into transition 11% of possessions. The Pacers usually are about 19%. They'd only had 2 offensive rebounds. So the Jazz beginning to solve many of the problems that they've had that have led to the 5-game losing streak and learning how to play in different ways. Tip of the hat to Malik Beasley, who had been shooting below 30% from 3 without Mike Conley. He buried 3 threes in that first quarter that were vital as the Jazz went up by 11. Jazz led by 16 at the half. They led by 20 after 3, and they win it by 20 tonight. All right, 2 stars, Ron Boone.
I think it's pretty easy tonight. Kessler definitely has to be 1, and the other definitely is going to be Markkanen.
That definitely, you had to say something really quickly because you weren't that sure all of a sudden. I could feel it. It has to be, Markkanen?
Well, yeah, for
What
me
about
it does.
Malik Beasley's 4 threes, 5 rebounds, and plus 23?
I like Markkanen.
I do too. 8 of 15 from the field, 5 of 9 from 3, 3 of 4, 2 rebounds, 11 defensive rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, plus 19 in 24 minutes. Ron's right. It's definitely Larry Markkanen. I'm just still mad he dumped an ice bucket on my head today.
You still feel that?
I was cold for a long time.
Go home and turn the heat up or something.
Shower,
Your body
warmed up.
temperature had to drop.
Yes. I got cryotherapy without meaning to today. Have a great one.
Did they show that on TV
They
today?
did show it, I believe, on TV. If you've not seen it, hopefully we'll have ways for you to see it. He threw an ice bucket on my head today. Not nice.
Not with ice water.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was cold. And what did you say about doing it?
I'm sorry. I'm
And
terribly
you know what
sorry,
my wife
David.
said? I wish I could do
You
that.
were saying